What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to analyze the tape of defensive tackle Jordan Davis as well as defensive end Nolan Smith. And we're going to get into what these guys showed on tape against the Cleveland Browns. In my opinion, Jordan Davis has looked a lot better in his third year in the NFL. Of course, he's not Jalen Carter. He's not going to pass rush and be an absolute disruptor in that instance. But the guy's been a really, really good run defender this year. And he made multiple plays against the Cleveland Browns. He obviously still has a limited role, but the guy's looked a lot better. And Nolan Smith's definitely taken a year or two leap, and that's been noticeable on tape as well. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But let's go ahead and start this video talking about Jordan Davis a little bit. Jordan Davis has looked a lot better this season. And you see it on tape, man. This guy's been flashing. This guy's been quicker. He's been more explosive. And against the run specifically, he's been very, very, very solid. And he's been very hard to block. He's been very hard to move, especially since the Eagles are utilizing this guy in a much better way, at least in my opinion. Right? You see plays like this now. Do note this was a 2nd and 1, and the play does end up picking up 4 yards. But this play here specifically is designed to go towards the left of the screen. And you see that because the guard is trying to essentially get to the inside of Davis, and he's trying to seal out Jordan Davis. But because of the fact that Davis is so explosive on this snap specifically, he's going to jump right through that gap. And to me, it's just a really, really good job by Davis to be able to jump that gap. And because of that, he essentially resets the line of scrimmage, right? He forces this running back to have to cut it back towards the right. Beautiful job right there by Davis to explode through there. You see the left hand's going to land to the right side of this guard. The right hand lands inside, and you can see Davis is going to just straight up beat this guy into that gap. And essentially, the running back is forced to bend this back towards the inside. Now, of course, the backside pursuit really isn't all that good. And with that, the running back is able to actually hit this into this gap. But again, this is still a positive play by Jordan Davis, right? Because he's being disruptive. He's resetting the line of scrimmage. He's forcing the running back who's trying to run it to a specific gap. He's not essentially letting that guy get to that gap, right? So that's a really, really good job. Here's another pretty nice play. Davis is going to end up being able to make the play. Now, do keep in mind he's going to essentially get down blocked here by the left tackle. This left tackle's responsibility is to block Jordan Davis and then potentially push him out towards the left if it's possible. Right? Down blocks are not back blocks. They're not meant to just hold the block. They're meant to move these guys. Because when you start pulling a center or a guard, you're essentially trying to kick out here, and then you need to create a big gap between wherever the down blocks are to essentially the guy that gets trapped. And Davis does a pretty good job as he recognizes the down block. He's going to kind of fight through it. He doesn't get pushed a whole lot. He starts to push back as well, and then he ends up getting in there and making the play. So that's a good job right there by Davis to fight through it. And on this one here, the play only picks up about a yard. It's also a good job by the other defensive tackle to scrape down the line of scrimmage. He sees the center pulling here, and then he ends up scraping down the line of scrimmage. It's a really, really good job by those guys up front. It's one of the things that Vic Fangio does against the run that I appreciate. I love guys being able to scrape, guys run stunts, and slant hard into different gaps. To me, those are the little things you have to do to continuously have success stopping the run. You got another one here. Jordan Davis, once again, going to make the play. This is going to be a 2nd and 10, and you're going to lose a yard on this one. Again, just a really, really good job by Davis. He recognizes the play. He recognizes that the offensive lineman is trying to get to the inside of Davis. You can see that right foot steps inside. Davis gets the hands on this guy. He's going to fight through him. And he's going to end up getting to the inside gap. And you see Jalen Carter also does a pretty good job slanting towards the left. And as Jalen Carter jumps towards the left, and keep in mind, he's lined up to the inside shoulder of this guy. And he's going to slant hard towards the outside. And as Jalen Carter gets out there, that forces this running back to have to bend it back towards the inside. And then Davis does a good job pursuing from the backside. Of course, you end up getting in there and forcing a loss on 2nd and 10. You're going to get a down block once again by the left tackle on Jordan Davis. This time he's going to do an even better job. He's going to recognize this a little bit faster. He's going to fight through it, and he's going to make the play. And what's interesting about this play with Davis is the fact that he has no business making this play. Right? On a down block, you're usually not even supposed to get over the top, right? Unless there's some sort of run stunt, which it doesn't really look like that's kind of being called here. But the fact that he gets down blocked, he has the awareness to recognize that the plays are going to go to the right side of that left tackle. And you can see he's going to bench press the left tackle. It's a good tackle as well. Bench presses him, gets over the top, and he gets in there and makes the play. That's a really, really good job right there by Jordan Davis. This is what the Eagles expected from this guy when he came out of Georgia. Right? A guy that can defeat down blocks on pretty much. A guy that can defeat down blocks a guy that can get over the top of down blocks, a guy that can take on double teams, a guy that can, push guys back and collapse the pocket, a guy that could just be one of the most disruptive nose tackles in the NFL and just be consistent. And I think Jordan Davis is definitely getting to that point where he looks a lot better. Now, he does have to continue to develop. He has to continue to really fine-tune his pass rush technique, because at the moment, his go-to move is obviously the bull rush, right? This is the play we're going to see him do a lot. He does have success with it because he is strong, so he is able to push guys back. You see it on this play here. Look at how much he's going to push the left guard back on this one. As long as he's able to just continue to push people back, that's still a positive, right? But he does have to develop and be more consistent swimming over guys, be more consistent ripping, and just doing the different things you want to see with the defensive tackle. Because one of the things that's going to happen with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter on the field is Jalen Carter is going to get the slide. Jalen Carter is going to end up getting double teamed. And this is what's going to happen like 80% of the time. So Jordan Davis is going to have a lot of one-on-one opportunities. So he needs to take advantage of those. This isn't a terrible job because he does push that guy back, but we need to see him just continue to fine-tune the technique a little bit. Let's go ahead and switch focus now. Let's talk a little bit about Nolan Smith, because the guy's looked a lot better to me. And he doesn't play full-time, right? He's not a full-time starting defensive end, but you're starting to see this guy flash a little bit. He's doing really, really good against the run. That was one of the things I wanted to see him improve his game in. He's also a lot more twitchy, and I think that's another thing you'll definitely notice on tape. He didn't play a ton of snaps against the Browns, but he did make a couple of plays. He's going to end up getting credit for a sack, although I think Jalen Carter's the guy that forces this sack. Some of you guys might not believe this, but there's a real stat that's measured out there. It's essentially called created sack. And Jalen Carter gets a 1 for this category, right? Where Jalen Carter creates a sack for one of his other teammates. To me, that's a really good job by Carter. Now, of course, Nolan Smith still has to be able to get home. He still has to be able to make the play. He's going to get chipped. He does a pretty good job with the hands. One of the things I'm seeing with Smith more is he's utilizing his hands a lot better, right? You definitely see it on tape. He's able to swipe guys. He's able to use more than just the quickness and athleticism. So it's a pretty good job here to be able to swipe the tight end. Although the tight end is releasing, he still does a good job to make sure the tight end is not able to actually slow him down enough. But he also had some nice plays against the run. On this one here, he's going to do a phenomenal job setting the line of scrimmage, or essentially resetting the line of scrimmage. He's going to get right into this tackle, and this is perfect. Bam! Absolutely love that right there. To me, that's such a good job by Nolan Smith. It's explosive, it's powerful, right hand, long arm, and then he keeps the left hand free, right? And for the running back here, if this is what you see on the front side of a zone run, you're not going to be able to hit that. So you got to bend it back towards the inside. Now, on this one, he does pick up about 3 yards, but still a pretty good job by Nolan Smith to be able to reset the line of scrimmage. We're definitely seeing this guy utilize his hands a lot more. That's an example of it. And they got another one here. Just being quick, man. Just being explosive, getting off blocks, and just being disruptive, right? So to me, love this play once again. Really good job being able to get around the block of 84 here. He almost gets caught to the inside. All right, so that's a good job right there to be able to get around it. He recognizes it quickly that those offensive linemen are pulling towards the left of your screen. He's going to take on the first guy here, ends up getting off the block there, and then you see him end up just chasing this down. He's going to tackle Deshaun Watson. Watson probably would not have scored on this quarterback keeper, but Nolan Smith made sure he didn't ultimately score on this one. I want to show you guys just 2 more plays that Nolan Smith made. They're really nice plays. I just want to give him credit because he's been doing a lot better against the run. He's been doing a lot better as an every down player, right? And I think that's the one thing Nolan Smith had to continue to develop, right? Was get off blocks, because we know this guy can pass rush. We know he can get upfield, but you got to be more consistent against the run. You got to fight through NFL tight ends, and he's definitely doing that, right? So on this one here, you see him disengage with the tight end, right? He locks out, he sets the edge. That right there is what you want. If you want to play in the NFL, you got to be able to do this. It's a good job right there to be able to lock out. He's going to get off the block. He's going to make the play. It's a really, really good job right there. You're going to see him do a really nice job on this one as well. He's going to end up beating the tackle. He doesn't get there quick enough. The quarterback's able to get it out. But honestly, 3-step drop, quarterback puts it on a dime. That's a really nice job by Baker Mayfield. But Nolan Smith does generate some pressure, right? He's going to be the first guy to essentially get there. No other guy really defeats their block other than Nolan Smith. So that's a really good job once again. this guy's starting to make plays essentially, right? And I think for the Philadelphia Eagles, that's all you can ask for a guy that was a first round pick. Also, keep in mind, one of the things with Smith is he only averages like 22 snaps a game. Now, before we go forward, I want to just take a second to give a big shout out to the sponsor of this channel, because this content would not be possible without Underdog. If you guys have never utilized Underdog before, trust me, man, you guys are missing out. I don't do traditional fantasy sports that often. I did do one league this year, but generally speaking, I'm not really doing it anymore. And that's mostly because of Underdog. Underdog has this game that I really, really enjoy. It's called Pick'em. Essentially, you're going to go out there and just make picks that you think are going to be right. They'll have pretty much every pick you can think of for every player, and they have multiple categories as well. So an example would be, I think Aiden O'Connell is going to throw for 125 yards. And you're essentially just going to pick higher on that, right? I think he'll have more than 125 yards. You might say, hey, Dak Prescott's going to have at least 2 touchdowns. I'll pick higher on that. You might say Caleb Williams is going to have a rushing touchdown. And some of those stats also give you multipliers, right? So usually for quarterbacks rushing and in, right? That's something most quarterbacks aren't doing every single week. You'll get like a 4x multiplier on that. So depending on the multiplier, depending on how many picks, you can turn $5 into $400, $1,000, right? Whatever it ends up being. Obviously, it depends on the multiplier, but Underdog to me is one of those places that I pretty much do every single week at this point. Very fun. It makes like watching the Jets and the Dolphins without Tua. It makes them interesting, right? So check out Underdog. If you guys have never used them before, it is the best place. Trust me when I say that. Go to underdogfantasy.com, use my promo code that you guys see on the screen, or use the app. I recommend the app. So let's get right back into the content. Also, keep in mind, one of the things with Smith is he only averages like 22 snaps a game. He's not a full-time starting defensive player. So, some people are going to say, hey, he doesn't really have an impact, or the type of impact you might feel like he should be having. But keep in mind, he's not playing 50 or 60 snaps right now per game. Give Nolan Smith a year or two, and I think when he does become the full-time starter, you're going to feel the presence a lot more, right? I can almost guarantee you guys that, because there's upside with Smith. He's fast, he's explosive, he's twitchy. And these are good plays as well, right? Like, you see him get around the block, and keep in mind, he's being double-teamed on this one as well, right? He's going to get chipped by the tight end. He's going to be able to get around that. You got a tackle who's now in position, and he's going to straight up just make this guy miss. Look at that twitchiness, that ability to change direction right there. To me, that's a great job, and that allows him to actually win the block. Now, of course, the quarterback rolls out of here towards the right of your screen, but if you get this defensive end to pass rush in a way where Deshaun Watson's not able to run out of there, this is pressure. This is a quarterback hit. This is a sack, potentially, right? So again, he's not playing a lot of snaps. He's also dropping back a ton, right? Which is another thing that Vic Fangio does. And there's a reason why you're doing that, right? Obviously, on this one, it's a great example of Nolan Smith dropping off. You bring a defender from the slot, and that's going to lead to you getting a sack, right? So Vic Fangio's utilizing Nolan Smith in certain aspects. Again, he's only playing 22 snaps a game, so the impact might not be felt right now, but trust me, from a tape perspective, the guy does a pretty good job, right? He's doing all the things you want to see on tape. It's just a matter of time until he fully takes over and becomes a really good player. And let's wrap this video up. Let's just talk a little bit about Jalen Carter. The guy's been really, really good, right? And I think there's no way to overlook that fact, right? This guy's been collapsing pockets. This guy's been beating people one-on-one. He's been causing and forcing sacks, as we talked about on this play as an example. So he doesn't get credit for this one, but he generates this sack, right? He's the guy that creates it. Very disruptive, but he did get a sack himself, which is going to be this play here. He's going to line up in the long 3 technique, and he's going to end up having a one-on-one opportunity. He does a great job being able to just be disruptive. He does a great job exploding through there. Love the fact that you get this blitz coming. You get this little stunt up front as well. And with that, you're able to see Jalen Carter actually get home. But again, the guy was disruptive all game. And I do acknowledge the Browns' offensive line isn't really that good at this point. They have a lot of injuries up front. But with injuries, you would expect a guy like Carter to dominate. And, he had an incredible Saints game a couple weeks ago. This Browns game was pretty close to that Saints game. And we're not really going to break down all these plays. I just want to show them to you guys as I kind of just talk it through. But the guy had a ton of plays where he was getting to the quarterback, right? He had about 10 impactful plays. Against the Saints, I think he had like 16 or something like that. Against the Browns, he had about 10. So that's still a lot of really, really impactful plays. And you see it on tape, right? This is a good job once again being able to defeat the down block. Number 70 has a down block on Carter. Carter's going to get over the top towards the left. And as he gets over the top towards the left, he's essentially going to take two guys on. And basically between him and Nolan Smith setting the edge here, the running back has to bend it back towards the inside. And Davis is going to get in there. He's going to blow it up for a loss of 1 yard, right? So it's a great job right there by Carter. Overall, I feel like what Vic Fangio has installed in the Philadelphia Eagles defense has allowed this unit to be a lot better. And I know it hasn't been perfect in every single game. I think the Eagles are obviously a young defense, right? They got a lot of guys on rookie contracts starting right now. You know, they're going to continue to get better, right? Over the course of this season, they're going to continue to get better. As they go into next season with the same coach, they'll continue to get better. And I think it's just a matter of time until the Eagles become a top 10 defensive unit. They have way too much talent. Plus, they have one of the best defensive coaches in the NFL in Vic Fangio. So it's just a matter of time until this guy really gets this unit to become a top 10 defense. And I do have confidence in that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, consider subscribing. We are covering the Philadelphia Eagles on this channel. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time with another video.